Hey, it's Kat and I'm back. And this time we're not going to talk about history or mythology or astrology. We're just going to do a little scorecard about where we are in our predictions because there are plenty that we got right, a couple that were, wrong, largely, and a few that I think are yet to come true. So we'll start with a couple big ones. Tom and flu. Yeah, I predicted that several weeks ago because this is all about your sins coming back to haunt you. It's karma, baby, as Austin Powers would say. And if you remember in the very first episode of the season that Jaime pushed Bran out the window because he caught Jaime and Cersei together, and Cersei didn't try to stop him. And this is what we see sort of happening here with Tommen. Not only did he fly out of the tower on his own volition, but that she didn't really even try to stop him. Like, she stopped him from going to the Sept in order to keep him from being blown up, but then she left him alone and didn't think a damn thing about him. So you get that maybe she loved her children, but she loves herself and power more. And then, of course, Cersei blew up the Sept. There was a lot of suspicion that she might try to blow up the entirety of King's Landing. We're not there yet. She did blow up a part of it, and you could see the foreshadowing of the future where something bad is going to happen. And she blew it up, and the sparrow did fall. I said the sparrow would fall. I did picture a little bit more of the mountain going in and just kind of hacking this dude. But Cersei blew him up, and then he did fall. I said that Lancel would replace him. Now that's one where I got wrong because Lancel blew up as well. And that we get Bloody Queen Marjorie. Okay, so Marjorie blew up as well as most of the Tyrell house and an innumerable number of the nobles of many, many houses in the south, as well as probably some wealthy from King's Landing. So Cersei just pretty much wiped out most of the houses in the south. So you kind of get this idea of who's left to resist, her or Daenerys. But we are getting Bloody Queen Cersei, apparently. And we are getting some Grand Inquisitors and Torturers, but apparently it's the Mountain and Qyburn. And speaking of blowing up the Sept, I almost forgot. Blood and fire. I said the church would be purified by blood and fire, and man, I had no idea how prophetic those words actually would be. Speaking of blood and fire, there was Varys down there in Dorne. And no, I haven't talked about the Dorne conspiracy, because you should go check out Preston Jacobs, because he's all about the Dorne conspiracy. But moving right along. So Jaime comes and he sees that the Mad Queen has taken the throne. He hasn't killed her yet. That is coming up in the next season. Because again, all your sins come back to haunt you. And you think about when Jaime killed Aerys II. According to the storyline, that Aerys II was going to order King's Landing to be blown up. And so Jaime killed him as well as the alchemist and the Meister who was helping him. And he saved King's Landing. But at the same time, he did it in such a timing and a way that it allowed his family to come in and sack King's Landing, as well as become closer to the throne with his children sitting on the throne. So he, by his methods, he put his family on the throne, and so by the next thing that has to happen is he has to take his family off the throne and kill the thing that he once loved. So we're going to get that. Oh, back to River Run, speaking of Jaime. So couple episodes back, River Run, we predicted how that would be taken, that he would use an inside man, Edmure, to make a deal with him and just take the castle easily without actually battering anything down, and that Blackfish would choose to die in the old world. So totally called that. That Brienne of Tarth is still out there though. So Brienne of Tarth is still wandering around somewhere in the Riverlands. Everybody else can zip back and forth like they're on jetpacks. But Brienne of Tarth is meandering along and hasn't made it back to the north. But I think that she will still have a run-in with the Hound and the brothers because they have to go back around. they're not done yet, because they are, as much as Brianna was, the other side of Jaime, the other side of the coin for Jaime, the Hound is the other side of the coin for Brienne. So I suspect that they will meet up somewhere together. And I said Brienne Tarth is Joan of Arc in history, and that Joan of Arc has not a very good outcome. She basically dies, Joan of Arc, because she had the gall to act like a man and dress like a man and lead armies, but as well because in the end it was politically expedient for her to die. And she was way too honorable and way too mission bound. That was Joan of Arc, and you can kind of see that in Brienne of Tarth's arc. Is that going to happen next season? I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. It might happen closer towards the end. And Joan of Arc, by the way, got burnt at the stake. So is there a fire in Brienne of Tarth's future? Don't know. But Melisandre, speaking of people getting burned at stake, is coming down from the north. No, I didn't predict that. Everybody knew. Davos would find out. He'd confront her, but Jon Snow would be stuck with this dilemma because she saved his life, and that she, did serve some purpose. So he just banished her with the threat of potential execution, and Davos added his, "Don't ever let me see you again." But speaking of karma, so Melisandre has burned a number of people at the frickin' stake, or caused them to be burned at the stake. So what do I see her future being? Fire. Karma, baby. Speaking of the river runs and the Riverlands, though, so Arya is back, and she killed Walder Frey. No, I didn't make that prediction. We're not counting that as a win or loss, because that's actually been on the internet for like forever, as well as the Frey pie thing. Although, speaking of karma and stuff coming back around, if you remember somewhere in the first season, I believe it was the first season, Bran's sitting around the fire with Mira and Jojen, etc., and they're exchanging stories, and he's talking about the rat cook. This is what Arya just did. So the rat cook supposedly had a beef with a chief of this one family, and so he killed his sons. He killed the chief's sons and cooked them up into the pie and served it to him, and it was so good he asked for a second serving. And then when they found out, the magicians turned him into a giant white rat who was forced to live forever and go around and eat his own young. So Arya, girlfriend, you just went all rat cook? Wow. And she smiled while she did it. She's in a very dark place, our friend Arya there. But no predictions yet. I'm just pointing that out about that rat cook story and the thing about karma. But continuing to the north remembers. Finally. Holy gosh. All right. But we did see the battle. We did predict that the battle would go exactly as it did, where it would be almost death time, and then Littlefinger would come in and save the day. And of course, by the end, towards just as the episode was coming up, most people had come to that freaking conclusion. And that afterwards, that Littlefinger would try to make Sansa feel beholden to him for his actions. And she pretty much blew him off, just as we predicted. Although, is it done yet? I don't know, because he, no matter what, is sticking thoughts in her head. And she has thought for quite some time that nobody can protect her but herself, and that she needs to figure out how to do that. Now, one of the things, though, she was smart to blow Littlefinger off, because he's all like, let's go take the Iron Throne. And she's like, no, because, people who sit on the Iron Throne have extremely short reigns lately. And maybe just, she had some sort of inkling sitting below the Were Tree, because Daenerys is on her way. And anybody who's sitting on the Iron Throne at this point is going to be charcoal. At some point. If you're sitting on the throne, you're charcoal. You're wood for Daenerys' fire. So, okay. So one, I did, and Jon got crowned King of the North. I knew that was coming. Not only because the Battle of the Bastards reflected the Battle of Bosworth, but look, we're talking about a medieval world that hasn't yet hit the Renaissance period, where women as the sovereign is acceptable. They're still hunting around for a king. So, of course, they would choose a male bastard over a female, at least in the short run. Times they be a changin'. One I got wrong. Rickon is dead. Okay, so in the books he wasn't quite dead yet, but he was bound to be dead because, as somebody pointed out at some point, he named his dog, his dire wolf, Shaggy Dog. And if you look up the idea of a Shaggy Dog tale, it is a story that has no freaking point. And that was pretty much Rickon. Although, even if he'd gone and really gone full Cuchulainn, which he might still in the books, Cuchulainn picked up his weapons on his name day, and according to the prophecy, any boy who picks up his weapons on his name day has a short but glorious life. Rickon in our story did not have glorious, at least in the Game of Thrones. In the books, he might have a short and glorious life. But moving right along, speaking of, Daenerys is coming. So we said there would be a lunar occult. You'd have to check out the Lightbringer series so you know where we're at. Yara and Daenerys hooking up, at least for the short run. The lunar occult does not last very long. And if Mr. Martin is using the astrological events to guide some of his character events, or most of them in relation to Daenerys, then yeah, she just left Mars. She just left her linear conjunction with Mars and is in her lunar conjunction. And when she's done with that, she comes back out on the other side. And I can't remember if it's Mars or moving into the toe of the lion. Leo the lion. We'll do one on that one next. But the reason it's going to be short-lived, Euron Greyjoy is still out there. So I have this prediction. Euron is going to come in and screw stuff up, because he has the Horned Dragonbinder. And as I said in the other video, what happens when a madman gets control of the WMD? Not good. Not good at all. Although, as I said in that video, I suspect then that Euron will actually drown. For good. Finally. One time. Let's see. Jorah Dragonslayer. That is yet to come. I don't see that until actually towards the end. This has to be when the dragons are out of Daenerys' control. So maybe he shows up when Euron Greyjoy has a Dragonbinder and he's got control of the dragons and he turns them maybe on Daenerys. Or that maybe much later when Daenerys is, rampaging through Westeros and she loses control of the dragons, or she tries to bind the dragons against their nature and they turn on her, he may end up, because St. George the Dragonslayer, Jorah the Dragonslayer saves the maiden. Go check that video out. Bran was awake. Yes, I said he'd be awake. Now the question is he coming below the wall? Now, there's this whole theory out there. I don't know. I suspect that he has to come below the wall because he has to break the magic, because the Night's King has to come, and there has to be that, who's going to battle who. The Night King did mark him. On the other hand, there's this one part of me that thinks, did that mark by the Night King become the magic that's like what's wrong with Benjen Stark, that he can't go below the wall? Can Bran not go below the wall anymore? Just a thought. I'm not saying that's an absolute prediction in our prediction line. So, let's see. Did I hit everything? The mountain, blah, blah, blah. The church purified. Yeah. Yep. Okay, if I missed anything you think I missed, leave a comment, hit the like button, let me know if I missed something, and we will come back with maybe I'm wrong about Rhaegar and Lyanna. I'm willing to entertain other ideas, and we're going to talk about the whole King Arthur / Rhiannon the Goddess thing that's playing in the background, just like we talked about Ashara Dane being the star. I'll talk to y'all later.